What generally well-liked celebrity or athlete has / had a dark past that many of us may not know about? Joaquin Phoenix was raised in a cult called the Children of God. Gordon Ramsay's father was a violent drunkard who regularly abused him, and his mother physically and emotionally. Supposedly one of his favorite things to do was call Gordon a gay little boy because cooking was for poofs. Eventually, his father just up and left, changed his name and everything, leaving behind his mother to raise 2 boys by herself. Things eventually got better for Gordon himself, but much worse for his brother, who got addicted to heroin. Kelsey Grammer married 4 times, once to an exotic dancer, long history of substance abuse. His 18-year-old younger sister was abducted, raped, and killed by 3 men. Crashed his VIP when he was drunk, and his best friend died in the September 11th attacks. Chuck Berry served time in jail for statutory rape, tax evasion. He was sued for putting hidden cameras in the bathrooms of his restaurant, liked to fart and piss on hookers, and had them take a dump on his face. In the spirit of the season, Bob Ross was once a master sergeant in the US Air Force and the first sergeant at the US Air Force Clinic at Eielson Air Force Base in Alaska. He hated having to yell at his soldiers, and vowed upon leaving the armed forces never to again. So he took up painting, and became super chill, and you know the rest of the story. The girl who voiced Ducky in Land Before Time was the victim of cold abuse for years until being shot to death alongside her mother by her father in 1988 during a murder-suicide. Jack Nicholson found out at age 37 that the woman he thought was his sister was really his mother. She was 18 years old when she gave birth to him. The woman he thought was his other sister was really his aunt. Because his mother was so young when she gave birth, parents chose to raise Jack as their own son, and thus everyone thought his mother was really his sister. And he didn't find this out from family. Time magazine was researching the actor and found this out, and then revealed it to him. Salman Khan of Bollywood, aka Bay, is known for running over 5 people in a hit-and-run case, is accused of physically harming former Miss World Aishwarya Rai while in an abusive relationship, and killing 2 endangered black bucks while filming. The man who gave evidence against him is believed to have been killed along with his family. Gary Paulson, author of award-winning novel Hatchet, had a horrible childhood. One of the many horrors he experienced was when he was 6. He went outside for a walk and was grabbed by a homeless man who tried to touch him. Gary's drunken mother appeared and beat the man to death. Edit. Anyone wanting to know more of his life should consider reading his autobiographies Guts and Eastern Sun Winter Moon. Also, I love Hatchet, and if anyone has any questions on it, I would be delighted to answer them. Phil Lewis, aka Mr. Mosby, killed a woman in a car accident while he was drunk. Henry Rollins of Black Flag was nearly killed by armed robbers back in 1991. The robbers forced him to enter his home at gunpoint in search of money, but he managed to escape through the back door and alert the police. His roommate / roadie Joe Cole, who was with him at the time, wasn't so lucky. Joe was shot in the face point blank and died at the scene. If my memory serves me right, Henry still owns a container of blood-soaked dirt from where Joe's head fell after he died. Also, Prince had a child that was born with FIFA syndrome. The baby died around a week later. I'm not sure how well known this is, but since I haven't seen anyone mention it yet, Mark Ruffalo, aka the Hulk, apparently he found out he had a brain tumor right around the time when his wife was about to give birth to their first child. Then his brother was murdered. Either that or odd, I'm not sure. I think he was also in a bad financial situation for a long time until he got the Marvel role. Also, Bill Wyman, longtime bass player for the Rolling Stones, yes, one of the Quiet Guys, dated a 13-year-old in 1984. 2 gunmen broke into Fran Drescher's home and raped her and her female friend while her husband was beaten, bound, and forced to watch. Then they ransacked her house and stole her stuff. In 2005, Benedict Cumberbatch was ambushed, robbed, and put in the boot of his car with his hands bound before being dumped by the side of the road and rescued. Pretty sure a lot of Alfred Hitchcock's infamous pranks would qualify as workplace harassment or just flat out felonies. Like that time he handcuffed two actors together who had just met for the first time and then pretended to not have the key for a whole day. Or that time he made a bet with a stagehan that the guy couldn't make it through the night, handcuffed to a piece of scenery in the studio. He locked the cuffs and gave the guy a drink to help calm his nerves. The drink was spiked with the most powerful laxatives available on the market, and when they returned the next day, the guy was crying in a massive puddle of his own tea. And the time he locked Tippi Hedren in a room with several live birds that all attacked her and left her bedridden for a week. Oh, and he sent her 6-year-old daughter a lifelike wax replica of her mother in a coffin. Matthew Broderick killed a mother and her daughter when he crossed into the wrong lane and collided head-on with a Volvo. He was fined $175. To be fair, there were apparently no drinking or drugs involved. He was tested in the hospital he woke up in and is said to have had a small stroke, or the crash caused him to have a concussion and no memory of the accident. Not anything he did, but Sir Patrick Stewart has talked about growing up in an abusive household. His father was verbally and physically abusive to his mother. She would call the police on him and they'd dismiss it and tell her she must have provoked him somehow. Stewart later learned that his father was diagnosed with what is now called PTSD, which is why he supports charities dedicated to treating PTSD as well as charities aimed at helping people get out of abusive relationships. Keanu Reeves' girlfriend gave birth to their stillborn child in 1999. They then broke up due to grief, and in 2001 she died from a car accident. Paul Walker dated a 16-year-old when he was 33. Tennis star Jennifer Capriati basically had her career derailed for 2 years early on due to substance abuse issues. She was also arrested for shoplifting during this period. She came back from that and eventually won 3 Grand Slam titles in the early 2000s, many years later than most people in the mid-90s would have predicted, when she was *THE* rising superstar on the women's tour. However, she has had some more problems since retiring in 2004, including a drug overdose and treatment in 2010, and stalking and battery charges brought by an ex-boyfriend 3 years after that. The guy who wrote the Rotten Ralph books got the idea to be a children's author while serving time for drug trafficking. Jerry Seinfeld openly dated a 17-year-old high school student when he was 38 years old. Took her on the red carpet and everything. Just very strange in my opinion. I couldn't imagine dating a high schooler when I was 20 to 21, let alone 38. Please remember Chris Brown. That piece of **T doesn't deserve to be relevant. Wilhelm Homburg / Norbert Group, villain of Ghostbusters 2nd. His father was an artsy, mother walked out on him, father forced his name change, raped his stepmother, his half-sister turned out to be his daughter, drug smuggler, would spit at boxing fans, was so awful on and off screen in Ghostbusters 2nd they dubbed over him with Maximum von Sydow. He made a fit, cussed out Ghostbusters 2nd crew, and didn't get much work after. Would mooch off money constantly for drugs and spirits. Guy made his sister wait a month to hear the news of his death to cancer, solely because she did the same for his father's death. Steven Tyler was 27 years old and started a sexual relationship with a 14-year-old girl. He eventually convinced the parents to make him her guardian so he could continue to have sex while he took her on the road with him. Got her pregnant, forced her to have an abortion, then got her addicted to drugs, and returned her to her parents **KED up 3 years later. It has been pointed out that her age was probably closer to 16 than 14. In his book he refers to her as Diane Hall, 14 years old. Jacob Kubler-Blaszczykowski witnessed his mother being murdered by his father in 1996. He isn't exactly one of the most exciting or famous soccer players, but he sure was adored by the fans wherever he played. Andre Agassi was on top of the tennis world when he got addicted to methamphetamines, and his career spiraled out of control, sinking him down to relative unknown until he resurrected himself and turned it back around. Jackie Chan used to be a porn star for his first movie role. Danny T. Joe was a huge addict since he was a kid and spent time in San Quentin, among many other prisons. Make sure to like and subscribe for more daily content. Thanks for watching.